Okay. Hello. Okay, so this is the official hello, and this today we are doing chapter 126 Kuf Chaf Vav for those people who are following. So if you remember that last week we did Al Naharat Bavel, which is the chapter that's talking about the destruction. David HaMelech talking about the destruction. Sorry.
What chapter?
126. Kuf Chaf Vav. So the last week's chapter where we did Al Naharat Bavel was David HaMelech's prophecy of the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, and then that was right before Tisha B'Av, and then this week, which is right before Shabbos Nachamu, I thought that we should do Shir HaMalos, which is the chapter that talks about us being redeemed, the Geula. So we also said last week that Al Naharat Bavel is said when we bench on a day where Tachanun is said, and we're all familiar with Shir HaMalot, which is said whenever Tachanun is not said, like Shabbos and Yom Tov. There were many great people who said Shir HaMalot every single day, even on days where Tachanun was said, because they said that a Jew is obligated to think of the redemption, to believe in the redemption every single day of our life, even on days where Tachanun is said. So there are many who have the custom of saying Shir HaMalot every day. Why do we dafka say Shir HaMalot on a Shabbos or a Yom Tov? So it says that Shabbos is what we call Ma'ein Olam Haba. It's a little bit of the world to come. And so before, like when we sit and we bench and whatever, we also speak about the world to come, which is this Shir HaMalos, which speaks about the Geula. So I'm going to recap a little bit. We've done one of the Shir HaMalos, as we did actually the Rebbe's Kapitel at the beginning of the year, which is it's actually Shir Lamalot, not Shir HaMalot, but it's considered one of the Shir HaMalot. And we spoke a little bit about the concept of the Shir HaMalot, which I'm going to repeat some of and recap quickly now. So there are 15 chapters from 120 to 135, is that correct? Which each one of them begins with the words Shir HaMalot, and we call them the Shir HaMalot. Okay, so understanding this concept, why 15 chapters? What is the number of 15? So there are many different things brought about the number 15. I'm going to go through some of them. As I said, we did mention some. I've tried to change it around a little bit, but 15 is, then in Kabbalah, 15 is the number of change. And if a person wants to get from one emotion to another, or from one state of being to another, according to Kabbalah, a person has to go through 15 steps. It's written also in Kabbalah that Hashem created the world with his name Ka, that's the Yud and the Hey name. And why am I telling you that now randomly? It means with the 15 different koichos, the strengths of Hashem's name, a Yud and a Hey is a gematria of 15. And this is why when Hashem took a place, a space of nothingness and turned it into a world, he used his strength, the Yud and the Hey, the 15 koichos. So 15 also comes up in other places in our lives. We know that the Birkas Kohanim, the biggest blessing that you could get from that one human being could bestow on another human being, has got 15 words in. You can go and check. Also, there are 15 years that the lives of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the three Avos, our forefathers, overlapped, that they were all alive together for those 15 years. We also know that when we say Shema, when we finish the Shema, we get up Ani Hashem Elokechem Emes, and then there are 15 different descriptions of Hashem. The Yatziv and Nachon, the 15 different descriptions of godliness. We know that when a woman goes to the mikveh, she does 15 bedikas, 15 checks until, like, each day, until she gets to the mikveh. Again, her changing from someone who is tameh to someone who is tahor, who is pure. Most famously, we know that there were 15 steps to the Beis Hamikdash. So when a person was coming to the Beis Hamikdash, for whatever reason they were coming there, maybe they were a sinner who was coming to bring a sin offering and want to be forgiven. Maybe they just wanted to bring a hello offering. Here I am, God, I want to connect with you. Some more, whatever it is. They walked up 15 steps because they wanted to change. That nobody wanted to walk out of the Beis Hamikdash the same way that they had walked in. The Levim also climbed the steps and sang. On each step, they sang a different one of the 15 Shir HaMa'alot. It says also that the moon reaches the full moon on the 15th day of its cycle. Interestingly, that's what we're coming to tomorrow, to B'Av. So it's also a good reason for talking about the Shir HaMa'alot today. So we Jews are compared to the moon, and our fullness, our greatness is compared to the moon, the fullness of the moon, the 15th day of the month. Our Seder, most famously, has got 15 steps. We say Kadesh, Urchatz, Karpas, Yachatz. If you go and count, you will take notice that there are 15 steps of the Seder, so that when we come into the Seder, we come in as slaves. When we leave the Seder and we say L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem, that's after having gone through 15 steps. And there are many, many more, but that's just a little taste of the number 15 in Kabbalah. So this particular kapitel of Tehillim, this Kuf Chaf Vav 126, which most of us know by heart. It's a short kapitel, but it's got quite a lot of beautiful, beautiful ideas in it. So it begins with the most famous words, Shir HaMa'alot. If you translate the words Shir HaMa'alot, so it's a song. Generally, it's a song that David HaMelech made up. And then what is HaMa'alot? So simple understanding of, it's a song of the steps. Okay, Ma'alot are steps, and this is one of the 15 songs that were sung on the steps of the Beit HaMikdash. Shir HaMa'alot, a song for the steps. Obviously, that's the pshat, the simple understanding of this. If we understand it a little bit more deeply, Ma'alot are advantages, are things that raise us, that bring us higher. Shir HaMa'alot, a song that makes us greater. By singing this song, we have a promise that we will become greater spiritually. Shir HaMa'alot, just the singing, the saying of this chapter of Tehillim, and the singing of it will bring us to a higher space, to a greater space. There's a famous story of the Alter Rebbe, and I have told it to you somewhere before. I can't remember if it was in this context or what, but it says that the Alter Rebbe was once called to a debate where people said that they had a lot of questions about Yiddishkeit, a lot of different things that they wanted to argue with him about, and they wanted him to sit in front of the room and answer their questions. And the Alter Rebbe answered them. He wasn't a Rebbe then, and he said, I can listen to you, and I can try to answer your questions, and I can try to convince you and explain to you and about all the different things that you're struggling with, or I can sing to you. And when I sing to you, you won't have any questions anymore. And we have from here that a person can really connect to their holiest parts of our neshama through song. And we all know that. It's actually written in various places that songs stir us to different behavior, and a holy song will make us feel holier. So Shir HaMa'alot, a holy song, a song that's going to make you feel holy, It's going to make you feel greater. So it's one of the songs that we sing so casually, and we sing it so often, and we sing it at our Shabbos table, and we sing it at whatever, and we don't even think much about what the song is actually supposed to be doing to us. We put, my brother was telling me that he started being very careful about what tunes he uses for various songs. He says he realized in Shul one Shabbos that they sing Adon Olam to the tune of This Old Man, and it fits very nicely with the words. But he suddenly stood there thinking to himself, I'm singing about God, Adon Olam, master of the universe, and singing about him as this old man. Okay, so, and he said since then he's been very careful about what tunes he puts to different things. And while I was preparing, I was thinking that this should be one of our considerations. I'm not saying that halachically, but just a thought that if this is a song, Shir HaMa'alot, it's a song that we sing, and just by singing the song, it makes us holy. We should think first about what kind of tunes we use for when we sing it. And what is the song about? It says, B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion, when Hashem will return the prisoners of Zion, Hayinu kecholmim, it will be as though we were dreamers. So again, simple understanding of this pasuk, Shivat Zion, the captives of Zion, that's all of us, people in Galus. And we are saying over here that Hashem will return all of us. And what will it be like then? Hayinu kecholmim, it will be that as though when we look back at this whole exile, it will be like it was a dream. Didn't really happen. I think probably it was a nightmare, that kind of dream. But this is a promise of David HaMelech that once Mashiach comes, we'll look back at the Galus and we'll say it was a dream. What is this talking about? What is so great that we must suffer and suffer for all these years, and then we'll say, oh, I can't even remember it. It was just a bad dream, just was. So a few different ways of understanding what this is actually talking about. So the first, and probably very deep, it seems most simple, is the story of Chani HaMa'agal. Chani HaMa'agal read this kapitel of Tehillim, and he could not understand this. He said, what is the purpose of Galus if at the end of it you're going to just forget about it? And he struggled with this question. Chani HaMa'agal, great sage, and he couldn't, kept saying, there has to be purpose in Galus. There has to be purpose in exile. Not what is the purpose if at the end of this we just simply say, Hayinu kecholmim was just a bad dream. Okay, it was a nothing. So Chani HaMa'agal, the Gemara tells, is that he was walking one day and he saw a man planting a carob tree. And he said to the man, why are you planting a carob tree? How old are you? So he said, I'm 70 years old. He says, and do you know how long it takes before a carob tree produces enough fruit for people to eat? The man said, yes, it takes another 70 years. So he says, do you think you're going to be alive when you're 140 to eat these carobs? And the man said, no, but my children, my grandchildren, they'll eat the carobs. And Chani was not so impressed. And he said, yeah, you planting now so that your children and grandchildren must worry about themselves. And the Gemara tells that Chani fell asleep. He went into a deep slumber, and he was the original Rip Van Winkle. He slept for 70 years. And when he woke up, there was somebody eating from the carob tree. And he said, who are you? And what is this? And the man, it's what do you mean? Who am I? So he says, did you plant this carob tree? And the man said, no, my grandfather planted it. He said, oh, so you eating from the tree that your grandfather planted. Now I understand, he says, even though I was sleeping for 70 years, and I could say now that the past 70 years was a dream, what I've just figured out now is that something was happening in these 70 years. There were people planting and reaping and doing all those kind of things. He says, now I understand what it will mean when it says about Mashiach coming, that the time that Mashiach comes, that the Galus was just a dream, because in a dream things are happening. In other words, during Galus, it's not a time where we can just sit and then it will be nothing in the end. But Galus has to be a time that we achieve things. We plant carob trees, so to speak. We make the world ready for Mashiach to come. And through the story of the carob tree, Chania Magal understood that although Galus itself, please God, will forget. We won't remember the pains of Galus, the exile, but Galus itself, when it says it will be a dream, means we will have achieved, we will have done what we needed to do during.
Yeah. What happened is outside. He's turning the light.
It's not okay. Rifki? I can't see. I also want out your glass. I don't know, I'm just seeing all the people.
Is it?
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Chat. Thank you.
It's such an interesting one too.
Mute yourself, Cliffy.
I can.
What's happening? They're not hearing. What's happening?
Hi, I'm trying to get hold of Rifki to tell her that we've lost her on the shiur.
Thanks. And were they all food?
It'll work from.
Why wouldn't it work? It should work. So. I don't know how far back it's disappeared. No, it's no. 1 second. But then, no, you think it's frozen.
Hello.
And then it's,
Can you hear again? Are people hearing
Yes.
again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Does someone want to tell me from where I got lost? Like, what was the last
You were
thing that
speaking
heard?
about Choni Hamago.
Amagal. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next after Choni Amagal. Did you hear me speak about dreams and the two opposites? No. Okay.
No, very little, because then we were knocked out.
You're knocked out. Okay, so I'm going to go back there. So sorry. So we're talking about a dream being, according to the Rambam, a dream is when two opposite things can happen. So the examples that I brought for you, the Rambam says, in a dream, two opposite things happen, and it makes sense. So you have the examples the Rambam brings. He says a ship flying. So a ship is something that needs to go in the water, but you can see it flying in the sky. And in your dream, it makes absolute sense. Other examples that the Rambam brings, he says, in a dream, your palm tree can have golden leaves. And that doesn't really make logical sense, but in your dream, it makes absolute sense. Nobody is fussed about it. So he says, if you think about Golus, if you think about exile, it doesn't make sense, right? exile doesn't make sense, that people can be a little bit good and a little bit bad. Some people, you can do some mitzvahs and not all mitzvahs. We can do all things that seemingly, logically, are opposites. But in our lives that we're living now, it all works. It all makes sense that we do those things. And he says that's what it means when David HaMelech says that about our galus, hayinu kacholmim. We'll look back at galus and we'll say, how did it make sense, right? How did it work? But we need to do it. We need to know that in galus, even when things don't make sense, we keep on with it. Hayinu kacholmim, that galus is like a dream where opposite things can coexist. And the final point that I want to make about dreams, so dreams don't only mean what happened in the night. Dreams, we use the word dreaming to speak about our plans, our hopes, our desires for the future. And our commentaries tell us that in order for us to get the Geula, in order for us to achieve, to grow, whatever, we have to have dreams. If a person doesn't dream, if a person doesn't hope, if a person doesn't look forward to something good, then they'll have nothing good. Nothing will, like, we'll just sit down, sit on our couch and go to sleep. We have nothing. So the reason that we achieve anything in life is because we dream, because we plan, because we hope for better and greater. And he says, this is what David HaMelech is saying over here. Hayinu kacholmim, we're like dreamers. What does that actually mean? Is that we spent galus planning for Mashiach. The whole time, how will we get to Mashiach? Because the whole time in galus, we dream about Mashiach. We look forward to it. We plan for it. We imagine it. That is hayinu kacholmim. We are like dreamers, and therefore Hashem will give it to us. And David HaMelech continues Pasuk Beis with the Pasuk, Az yimale yischek pinu, then our mouths will be filled with laughter, Ulshanenu rino, and our tongues with singing, Az yomru b'goyim, then it will be said amongst the nations, Higdil Hashem la'asosim eila, Hashem has done great things with these people. Then read the next pasuk also, Higdil Hashem la'asosim manu hayunu samechim. Hashem has done great things for us, and that's why we rejoice. So just to take notice of a few of the different things that happen. Azimale is like, so firstly, azimale, then our mouths will be filled with laughter. So it says we have a promise that when Mashiach comes, there will not be even a trace of sadness. Our mouths will be filled with happiness. There won't be sadness anymore. We actually often quote that Hashem will wipe every tear from every face. That's one of the things we look very forward to, Mashiach time. But the other side of the coin of that same sentence, azimale, then our mouths will be filled, that when it's not Mashiach time, we can never be perfectly happy. When it's not Mashiach time, even when we're happy, there's something that makes us sad. There's always some things. You can be at a simcha, but you can remember certain pain that you have. We can't have total happiness until the time of Mashiach. The Gemara tells a story of Rab Ashi. It was his son's wedding, and he took notice that the people were so excited about this wedding, and they were so happy. And he said, no, it's not Mashiach time yet. The people have forgotten that if it's not Mashiach time, they can't be perfectly happy. And so he took a very expensive crystal vase, and he threw it to the floor, and everybody went, and he said, right, you're not allowed to be perfectly happy until Mashiach comes. And actually, by a lot of opinions, that's where the custom of breaking a glass at a wedding comes from. This concept of Higdil Hashem, when Mashiach comes, everybody will look around and everyone will say, look what Hashem did. So it's a kind of psychology that we use with Hashem always, that when you do good for us, Hashem, it's not only good for us, it's also good for you, Hashem, that people will say, hey, look what Hashem did, great. Look what Hashem did. He redeemed the Jewish people. And then I saw a beautiful Chassidic explanation on this. It says, then our mouths will be filled with happiness, and our tongues with laughter. And then what will happen? Hashem will redeem us. Explains that we have to be happy, even now in Galus. We have to find happiness, and find things to be happy about, because we have this promise that as Yimala Yischek Pinu, when we try and serve Hashem with joy, when we try and serve Hashem with happiness, then Hashem, Higdil Hashem, then Hashem will do beautiful, big and great things for us. And what kind of joy are we talking about? So it continues and says, Shuva Hashem Shivisenu. Here we are in Galus, and we're asking Hashem, please redeem us, all of us, Ka'afikim Negev, just like the galleyways of the Negev. So the Negev desert never ever gets rain, and the way that it's sustained is that it's got lots of riverbeds that get very dry, and when it's a rainy season, the rain pours down into the Negev as well, and so they don't see the rain, they don't pray for rain and it comes, but suddenly all their rivers and their streams and their waterfalls are all filled with water, and the people rejoice. They say like, wow, look what happened. Yesterday it was a dry bed, and today we have the water that we need in order to sustain us, to make our things grow, to let us live. And this is huge excitement, a lot of joy. And so that when Mashiach comes, this is exactly how we'll feel. Like, hey, we got it. This is what we were praying for, that our dry beds, our galus, our exile, should become filled with water and sustenance, and we should have everything that we need. But it's not only talking about when Mashiach comes, but it's talking about even now. That even now in galus, when our rivers and so to speak, our streams, our waterfalls are dry, we still ask Hashem that while we are in galus, He should fill our rivers, He should fill our streams. In other words, Hashem should give us what we need. And even if He's not giving us rain, so to speak, He should let us get the sustenance, the things that we need, and the things that we want. And then the famous words, Pasuk Hey, he says, Hazorim Bedima, those who plant with tears, Berina Yiktseru, will harvest in joy. And I'm again going to read the next pasuk as well. Halach Yelech Uvachai, one who goes and cries, Noise Meshach Hazara, and he's carrying, and he's will be carrying his seeds. Boyava Virina, he will come with happiness. Noise Alumasov, carrying his sheaves. So we have, again, at a very pshat, a very simple level understanding of this, is that we have to put effort into life. If farmer wants his wheat to grow, he's got to plan where he's going to plant it, he's got to have make the soil ready, he's got to put the seeds in, he's got to water, he's got to weed until he gets the harvest. And the more effort that he puts into it, the better he'll see the harvest at the end of this. And this is in every aspect of our life. The more effort we put into things, the better harvest we're likely to get. So it seems like this is just simple, straightforward, common sense advice. Hazarim Bedima Berina Yiktseru. If you plant with effort, you put a lot of effort into it, you're going to hope, you're going to pray that good stuff is going to happen, that it's going to be worthwhile. Another opinion on these two psukim. So there are two different ways to serve Hashem. There's the way of serving Hashem, which is Halach Yelech Uvacha, the first, the beginning words, the first three words of Pasuk Vav. Halach Yelech Uvacha. He goes and he cries. It's one way of serving Hashem, that a person is so sad about the destruction of Beis HaMikdash, that a person is so sad that we don't have all the holy things that we need and that we want, and he feels pain, real little pain about it, and he cries. And that's one way of serving Hashem. And then there's another way of serving Hashem, which is the last words of this thing, Bayava Virina. They're those people who serve Hashem. They come with Rina, which is with joy, with happiness. And they serve Hashem even when it's difficult, but with Rina, with joy and with happiness. And so the commentary is that our job in this world is to find the balance, when to be sad and when to be happy. And we have to work on ourselves, that we have to find ways to be sad about the Churban, but to serve Hashem with joy. And that's when we'll have the biggest harvest. That's when we will have Geula, that's when we will have Mashiach. The picture here that David HaMelech seems to be painting for us in these last few psukim is that of a farmer. The farmer is he's planting, and the picture that we're getting is that if he puts a lot of effort into this, he's going to have a beautiful harvest. That's seems to be the picture over here. But if we take that mashal a little bit further, we can understand that a farmer knows that however much effort he puts into his planting, he only succeeds if Hashem wants him to. In other words, the farmer can have the biggest field, he can have the best workers, he can have the best equipment, he can have very good seeds, he can work really, really, really hard. And if Hashem doesn't send rain in the right time, nothing grows. And if Hashem sends too much rain, everything gets destroyed. So his effort does nothing for him if Hashem doesn't become the third partner in this. And this is David HaMelech giving us the secret. He says, you want Hashem to help you. Take him in as your third partner. Put effort into things, work hard, do what you have to do, make an effort, and then daven to Hashem and ask him to help us to bring Mashiach. Ask him to help us to achieve what we need to achieve during Galus. But the biggest thing we need to achieve during Galus is that we can go away from Galus and we can have Mashiach and we can turn around and say, Ayinu kacholmim, that whole Galus was just simply a bad dream. And that's where we go up to today. Thank you. Sorry about the silence in the middle.
That was beautiful.
Thank you, Rivki.
Thank you, Rivki. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Rivki.
Thanks, Ruth.